Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time for listening to this DigiBank Summit. I am Alexandre Ménage, Managing Director for Sopra Banking Software in Africa. I'm really pleased to be with you today and would like to spend a little bit of time, maybe 5-10 minutes, showing or at least showing you how we at Sopra Banking Software see the world in the financial services in Africa and how we aim to make it a better financial world, since we are not only a leader in financial technology, but also an organization that prides ourselves in uplifting socio-economic and advancement in technology and financial services across the continent. So a few slides that I wanted to share with you from a thought leadership standpoint, and why, as an organization, we are investing so increasingly on the African continent. First of all, African populations will double by 2050. And over the next 30 years, this will add obviously an additional 1 billion people on the continent, which means Africa will account for more than half a global population growth between now and 2050. These are staggering numbers. And just as an example, Nigeria, whom I have the pleasure of visiting on a regular basis, has already doubled from 95 million in 1990 to 201 million this year, and will double again by 2050 to 400 million. Globally, Findex data tells us there are 1.7 billion people who do not have access to basic financial services. And in Africa, that number is 50% of the African population completely unbanked, equating to 350 million people. So a massive demographic explosion will take place on the African continent in 2050. With this come socio-economic and COVID consequences, since we are in the middle of a pandemic right now. One, from a socio-economic standpoint, this extra 1 billion people are the catalyst for governments and regulators to promote better access to financial services. And these organizations are pushing for financial inclusion and bank their populations to grant them better access to financial services and grow the economy, reduce unemployment as much as possible. That also means that from a regulator standpoint, many new banking licenses are being issued by governments. I also have the pleasure to visit on a regular basis Ethiopia. Ethiopia is one of them, with no less than more than 15 banking licenses being issued. Nigeria, once again, and South Africa, where I reside, is also a country issuing many banking licenses, again, to ensure that these extra populations over the next 20 to 40 years will have access to better financial services product. And finally, the telecommunication players that have entered the market and have leapfrogged the generation from an advancement of technology standpoint are also entering the market, sometimes in partnership with banks, sometimes become themselves licensed and regulated by the Financial Services Authority of the country they operate in. You add to this, the COVID impact. No discussion, no presentations today are happening without a pinch of salt of what COVID and how COVID has changed the world banks and financial services industry work. But from a customer standpoint, the fact that most of the customers of the banks do not have access to branch, cannot come to their branch to do their day-to-day banking exercise, mean that the banks have to drive for digital banking and provide services where their customers are located, whether it's in cities or in more rural geographies across the continent. And from the bank's employees themselves, when they cannot access the premises of the bank to reboot or to physically have access to the IT and the technology underpinning the banks mean that these organizations are moving to a cloud and SaaS first as a deployment capability and transforming their legacy system of one for the big ones made of many spaghettis and many patches into one more lean and robust and agile to cloud and SaaS first in terms of operating and operation and commercial model. So massive socioeconomic and COVID consequences on the back of that demographic explosion, having a massive impact once again on the financial services industry in Africa. Finally, the fintech investment in Africa is growing exponentially. At 576 fintech in Africa in 2021, this number represents an increase of close to 90% between 2017 and 2021. Again, close to 100% increase in the number of fintechs in the continent right now, with more than 500 fintechs in Africa. And these, since January 2015, 277 out of them have banked close to $1 billion. That's more than twice that of any other vertical sector over the same period on the continent. Staggering numbers, but this rise of the fintech in Africa mean that there's going to be a massive revolution impacting the traditional banks, and that these banks need to either partner, build an ecosystem, transform themselves as a platform banks to be able to sustain and continue to grow their market share without being too impacted by the rise of the fintech. These fintechs are targeting, obviously, financial inclusion, microfinance, lending, and the rebundling into full services neobanks. Key 4 countries are on top of this market, with South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, and Kenya coming to 75% of African fintech startups, but countries like Ghana, Morocco, Senegal, Ivory Coast are also on the rise. And on the rise, over the last 2-3 years, you've heard about them. You've all heard about the African unicorns. More than 4 of them today have listed free, making the $1 billion market cap from either investors or from a listing on a stock exchange, InterSwitch and Cheaper in Nigeria and Fori in Egypt. As an organization, we are we are at the front of this revolution, with more than 5,000 of us working, breathing, and developing financial services software to equip the banks, the traditional banks, as well as the fintechs and microfinance institutions or credit institutions to tackle that revolution that we are all part of in the financial services industry. Globally, we are present in more than 80 countries, and we have more than 1,500 institutions running our software. In Africa, more than 300 of these organizations rely on Sopra banking software to open and create a better financial services experience for their customers on an ongoing basis. So I wanted to leave with you a short video showing how we want to be seen as a player in this market. And I am rejoicing to be speaking with you during the panel, which will take place in the course of the event. Thank you very much for taking the time for listening to me today. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you and interacting with you at any point of time. Thank you very much.
The aim of our clients is to help people achieve their ambitions, secure their futures, and take control of their lives. We're more than just a leader in financial technology, and so we want to use our knowledge and services to help build the world of tomorrow by improving the daily lives of end customers, clients and employees. This means coding world-beating technologies, channeling 50 years of expertise and leveraging the power of our team. We are Sopra Banking Software, a fintech that loves to innovate, collaborate and co-create with leading financial institutions across the globe. We want to create a financial future that's accessible for everyone, everywhere, anytime.